recapping, so these are the 7 baby steps.
Sorry, my phone is not working. Can I just go and it won't go?
Or maybe because I'm on it.
No, that's just something with my phone.
Oh.
I only have an Android.
We have updated
Yeah.
for 3 years. We don't miss one of another.
She's telling me I have to get an iPhone because I have an Android.
Alright, so baby steps. Alright, so these are the baby steps. I know this was introduced last week. So just to recap, just the first couple of ones that we're doing. Baby step 1 is starting your beginner emergency fund, right? And then baby step 2 is paying off all that debt using the debt snowball. So after you save that emergency fund, which is the baby emergency fund, just $1,000. It's not your long-term emergency fund, just the first one, $1,000. And then after we do that, now we're gonna go into paying off debt. And generally what we talk about paying off debt, we talk about paying off all debt except for the mortgage. And this is what we're gonna generally speaking, all right? So, mortgage, we would set that aside. Student loans, generally speaking, we'll pay that off. And student loan, I say generally speaking, because sometimes student loans is as large as mortgages. And then on a one-on-one situation, I would address that a little differently. But generally speaking, if it's a student loan, normal size student loan, pay it off with the rest of the debts. Normal size student loan may be different for everybody, but that's when we're doing more one-on-one.
And may I just interject that although we should pay off a mortgage is a good debt. He can explain. Some debts are bad debts, but a mortgage is a good debt.
Yeah. All right, so debt snowball method. So what is this debt snowball method? All right, so here, what we see that usually our debt, and our debt could be like a snowball, and it's usually chasing us, right? As it gets bigger and bigger, right? So what we want to do, we want to turn that around, and we want to pay off our debt using the snowball method. And basically what that is paying off our debt in a strategic way of starting with the smallest loan, with the debt with the smallest balance, and applying all our available income. Available income is going to be our net income, which is left over after we pay off our bills. That residual income, what's left over, we're going to apply that towards our smallest bill, right? And the rest of our other debt, we're going to pay those off using with the minimum payment. Right, so whatever the minimum payment is for our car loans or anything else that's not that smallest loan, we're gonna send a minimum payment and we're gonna concentrate on that smallest bill. So the theory is once we pay off that smallest bill and that bill is gone, whatever we've been paying on the monthly payments for that, right, plus our residual income, we could take that and apply it to the next smallest bill. And we could concentrate on that. Yes, sir.
This is one of those concepts, I just want to interject here, because this snowball thing, I'm walking around here, I'm thinking, this is a miracle from God. This is what Dr. Cora talks about, how with our economy, 2 + 2 = 4, but with God's economy, 2 + 2 = whatever He says it is. It's absolutely amazing how when we apply what Danny's teaching us right here to our lives, how fast God pays off this debt. It's a miracle.
So basically that's going to be a concept. I'm going to show an example. I'm going to show how it works using a debt calculator tool, so you can see it and you can see how well it works. But it's even going to work better now. I'm going to show you some other things about that as well. But let's talk about some principles as far as debt. So Proverbs 22:7 tells us, just as the rich rules over the poor, so does the borrower is a servant to the lender, right? So we don't want to be servants, so we want to be debt free, right? Romans 13:8, it says, let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another. For whoever loves one another has fulfilled the law. So the only debt we should have is loving one another. All other debt should be remained, right? So that's the Bible is telling us to be debt free, right? So the Bible is teaching us and telling us to be debt free. All right. So I'm going to introduce you to some other classmates, right? So virtual classmates that start this class the same time you start this class. And what they did was they had the same assignments. So they heard they got the same assignments, and we're going to see how it applies to them, all right? And hopefully we see what we've been doing, and we can make sure we're on track on the assignments of how to apply it. And if not, we can help you with it. But this is how it will work. So here we have David and Shannon Johnson. David and Shannon are married. They have 2 kids, ages 8 and 14, right? Both are currently 45 years old, all right? So they're not young chickens, but they have some time, right? Combined monthly income is $115,000. They purchased a home September 20th and financed $296,000 over 30 years, basically 360 months. The current value of their house is $540,000, and they have a balance of $265,000 as of October 2023, right? So as of last month. They own 2 vehicles. Okay, I'm a little biased. I sold Hondas in the past. So they have a Honda Accord valued at $13,500 with a balance of $16,000. So they owe more than what the value is. So that's common, right? They have a Honda Pilot which has a value of $15,000. It has a balance of $19,000. The payments on their two vehicles are $350 and $425, right? Pretty high payments, but as we heard last week when Darrell was speaking, that's still below the national average, right? They have 4 credit cards. They have a Capital One that has a balance of $3,175. The payments on there is $170. They have a Discover that has a balance of $27.30, payments $145. Bank of America balance $43.35 and payments of $165. And they have a Chase balance of $12.25 and payments of $55. All right, and they have savings, right? But they know that their savings, the money they have in their savings, is going to be used to pay bills, right? So in their mindset, when they did their balance sheet, they pretty much left the balance sheet for savings for 0, right? So this is their scenario. Okay, here we go. So this is them filling up their net worth statement, right? So their net worth, the first they're looking at what I own compared to what I owe. The difference is going to be my equity, my net worth, right? So they had, for their scenario, this may be different for you. So in their scenario, they really didn't have any savings, any cash savings. They didn't have any investments at this time, right? So their total investments is 0. They do have some property. They have 2 automobiles. They're valued at $28,500. They have a home that has a current value of $540,000. So these are other things they have. They have home appliance, but they decided not to put that as part of the equation. So part of the equation is going to have the cars and a house. So they have what they own. Is $568,500, and this is what they owe. This is the liabilities. The credit cards total at $11,465. They have a home that has a current balance of $265,000. They have automobile loans, which has balance of $35,000. So their total liabilities is $311,000. So the difference between that will put their net worth at $256,000. All right, so that's their starting point. All right, so the next assignment they had was to do their spending plan. All right, so when they started their spending plan, they went ahead and figure out what their monthly income is, right? But this is net, this is what their bring home money is, what their bring home income is, right? So, and they get paid weekly, he get paid weekly, she gets paid bi-weekly. So, if I was to look at the regular monthly income, it won't be exactly this, but what I'm doing, what we're looking at is, in this month that they're getting paid, she's gonna get, because of the amount of weeks that she's gonna get paid for, like Fridays, she's gonna get 4 checks this month. He's gonna get 2 checks this month, because he's bi-weekly, right? We know that in some weeks, some months, she'll get 5 checks, some months, he will get 2 checks. So 2 months out of the year, the bi-weekly will get an additional check, right? Other one will get an additional check 4 times a year, right? But this month is, they know they're only getting 2 checks bi-weekly and 4 checks for the weekly. So that's what they're gonna base that month budget on, because that's what's coming in, right? So this is what their take-home money is. They have their tithe. Their tithe is coming off from the top, which is based off of their gross income. So this tithe is based off their monthly gross income, 10%. So this is what they have left, right? This is what they have. This is their mortgage, 1329. They have car loan, 775. Property taxes. I'm sorry, car insurance, $300. Property tax, 110. And then they had the what's the 300? Property tax 300. 325.
Where is everybody?
I gotta come over here. Okay, HOA is 85. Property tax 325. Then property insurance was $110. Okay, car insurance $300. Okay, so this is what they put for their fixed cost, right? Then they have their semi-variable, and they have home maintenance, which is $50. Electricity, $225. They have water and sewage, which is $85. Cell phone, which is $120. They have cable, which is $60. Internet expense, $80. They have groceries of $800 for the family. And then they also have gasoline, $300. Car maintenance, $125. Now, they don't pay car maintenance every month, right? But they know they're gonna have car maintenance throughout the year. So what they do is they budget in that expense monthly versus paying for all 4 tires and all change everything and try to figure it out. They save for that monthly. Personal care, same thing. They have $75 a month. These are the credit cards, $535. So these are the semi-variable costs. And this is the more highly variable cost. So they have entertainment, going out to dinner, doing, going out with the family, whatever that may be. If the mistake that so many people do is they don't put that on their budget, right? Because they say, we're not gonna do it, which is great. If you want to make a sacrifice and decide like, I'm gonna have a gazelle-like attitude and cut this for a temporary period of time, take it off. But if you're not gonna do that and you're just taking it off just to take it off to make your budget look good, you're fooling yourself, right? So we don't wanna fool ourselves. So if it's there, put it there. Gifts, they don't pay gifts every month, but throughout the year, this is what they save, and they say that throughout the year, so they can budget for that. Christmas time is coming,
Amen.
that we're gonna buy gifts. We may decide, if the families, like some of us have husband and wife here together, which is awesome, right? I'm not here with my spouse, so I can't just say that I'm not buying Christmas gift because she may not go along with that, right? So I know I have to budget for that. But if that's something the family's gonna do, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm saying that, but if you decide that that's gonna be your gazelle-like attitude, then that's something you would do for that period of time. I can't do that, right? So I have to make sure I budget for it. So these will be a highly variable cost. So we saw what a variable highly cost was, and these are all the total of my expenses. So I compare my net income after my tithe, after all my expenses, this is what I have, $263, right? So if I stop here, this right here is a budget, right? We don't do budgets yet, we do a spending plan. And by the first we talk about a spending plan, it actually takes your budget, but it applies your goals towards it, right? And then then it becomes a spending plan, because now you're doing something with it. This $263 is gonna be used towards, that's your residual income. This is gonna be used to help you with your goals, what you wanna do, right? So, this is what they did, right? So you have the beginning. Before we go to the next month, right? We have our budget. We're gonna have what do we actually spend? We don't just put a budget and just go with it, right? We have to track and see what we did to make sure we're on point, right? And then we'll see what our variances are. Based on our variances, we're gonna make a decision whether we need to change our budget or do we need to change our behavior, right? Our budget may not be realistic, especially the first couple of times, right? Our behavior may not be disciplined or realistic, so we may need to change that, all right? So some of the things that we see, real big picture here, they had an other income 505 that wasn't planned. After going to the class, they heard about they wanted to get their $1,000 emergency fund. We gave them some examples. They decided, I'm gonna go and do a garage sale, all right? So they had a garage sale. They made $505 off that garage sale, so that's why the little extra is there, right? Some people may decide, I'm gonna do blood transfer, blood plasma donate. They could do that. Some people may say, I'm gonna sell some things, so whatever the case would be. I'm gonna do Uber, whatever. We gave you a list, whatever you decide you wanna do, that'll be great. And these are the other expenses, so they want to track what they actually spent. And they see what their overage, what their differences was. So at the end of the month, this is what the variable was, but this is what they have left over. This is their residual income, right? So with this person started off, I didn't put it here, but let me show you this here. So this is just, this is something I use. Now, and this is not for you, so this is not something I'm saying for you to use. You're gonna use, so when we gave you those homework assignments, like the spreadsheets, right? Not spreadsheet, when we gave you those sheets for the spending plan, that was just to get you started, right? Now, if you're a spreadsheet person, you're gonna put it on spreadsheets. If you're an app person, you're gonna do it on an app. But those just to get you started with, these are the expenses I have to so you can realize what your expenses are. I know when she started, she said she started with just paper, with just starting writing stuff down. And just real basic. I was completely opposite, because I started doing my spending after I took an accounting class. So the only thing I knew was accounting. I just figured this stuff out. So all the stuff I knew to do was accounting. So I was doing stuff like journal entries and all that stuff. I was like really complicated. I had to, bring it down a little bit. So after like 9 years of doing this is pretty much what I got. And again, this is a little complicated. We do have, I'll tell you later if we have time, a little treat. But this is what I have. So this person, so here we have what their income is, and this is their budget, right? This is the same budget I have. This is the actuals. I have the dates, the next due dates. I know when the dates are due. So this negative means I got time.
What does the first date mean?
The first date here is when is when I made the payment.
Oh.
Yeah. And this is gonna be when the next payment is due. So the beginning of the month, that payment would have been shown that it's due soon. Then when I make the payment, I put it there, and I transfer it to the next payment being due in the following month.
That's a full-time job.
Yeah, you gotta do that weekly. You gotta put time into it, right?
It's good for the engineers.
So something that you want to do also is when you're looking at your expenses, you gotta track your expenses. So this is where I will track the expense. So this is for David and Susan. This is how they tracking their expenses every day, right? And here you want to track your your balance. So this has their bank account. This has where they're taking them, where the money's coming in. So the debit's gonna be where the income coming in from. These are the expenses. If I pay using a bank account, that's there. If I pay using a checking, credit card or whatever, when I got interest, when I make my payments, it's there. So all that's being tracked. All right. So this person had, go back to that. This person started off with $200 in a savings account. They needed another $800 to finish off their emergency fund. So that's the $800 they use to start the emergency fund. So in December, they could start doing the snowball because they already got the baby step one out the way, right? With that money, right? This is their plan because the residual money is what they're using for the plan. So in December, they say, okay, I'm ready to start using my, let me get back here. So they go start using the debt calculator. So in the debt calculator, there's a snowball. Again, it's real simple. It's a real simple concept. Basically, all you're gonna do is you're gonna get all your creditors that you owe. You're gonna write what you have your balances. You know what the interest rates are, right? And you know what the payments are, and you just list them down, right? So on this one, they have a total of $45,000 of debt, right? With credit card, car loans, not including a mortgage. These are the monthly payments that they're making for these, right? So they can apply this plus their residual income. The residual income was $263. So this is what they have available for the debt snowball, right? So, okay, so debt snowball, they're gonna have them pay the smallest ones first, right? And then as they pay the smallest one first, after that one is gone, they start paying the other ones, right? So the Chase is the smallest one in this scenario, right? After 4 months, right? That Chase card should be paid off, will be paid off, and then they'll start with the Discover card, right? Chase is gone, so now I'm applying my residual income. So the residual income will grow, right? So I'm applying the residual income, and now in 10 months, the Discover card will be paid off. Then the Capital One, and Bank of America, these are the time that it would be expected to grow. Now, another method, which is another popular method, is the avalanche. The avalanche, instead of paying off your debt as far as the smallest to largest, it pays off with the highest interest rate, right? So people heard of that. And mathematically, that one makes more sense, right? We can see here that it's gonna be paid around the same time, but the interest paid was like a couple $100 less, right? So mathematically, this is correct. So why do we teach that snowball? This right here is 5,600. This right here is.
But it takes 8 months, right? This is the way we need to show.
Versus the 57, right? So why do we teach one over the other? A lot of us, we like victories, right? And if we see something's working, we're gonna stick to it. Mm-hmm. If we see something that's not working, even though it's working, the key, what the word is saying, seeing. Mm-hmm. If we see that it's working, we're gonna stick to it, mm-hmm. right? This one, we're gonna see victories 4 months, 10 months, 13 months, right? So likely I will stick to that. This one, it'll take me 8 months to pay off the first one, 12 months to pay off the next one, and 16 months. So yeah, I'm gonna pay $100 less if I stick to it, but probably because I don't see the results, I may not stick to it, right? So that's why we teach the debt snowball, all right? And again, these are the ratio, how it pans. So the first month, you instead of making the minimal payments, right? So it's the Capital One, you'll make the minimum payment plus that residual income. Everything else you're paying the minimal payments on. Then when that's paid off, then you're applying those minimal payments, everything else to here, and so on and so forth. So that's how that will work out. All right. So something is missing in here, which is gonna cause this to be paid off a lot sooner than what I'm showing you. And I'll be really impressed if someone tells me what that is. I'll be really impressed. So,
Is it that we double the payment somewhere?
no, that's as if I make those payments every month, right? The opportunity is when I decided what the residual income was, I based it on the fact that 4 weeks and two checks. It's gonna be additional months where that person who gets 4 checks is gonna get a 5th check. Extra $800, right? $791. It's gonna be an extra 2 times a year that this person who gets $1,800 a paycheck, he's gonna get an extra paycheck 2 extra months. So that between the two of them, they have like $6,000 of extra that's not being calculated here. I could go and put it in for each month, but that'd be too tedious, right? But if this is being maintained, if you just set it and forget it, no, it's not gonna be right. But if you look at your residual income every month, you know what your residual income is every month. It's gonna be some months that instead of $261, it's gonna be a month that they have like $800 more. There's gonna be a month where it's gonna be a few months where they have the 800 plus 18, they're gonna have like $2,600 more that's gonna be able to be applied to that, right? So in essence, this one here should be paid off like around 20, like if I go to the payment schedule, right? This one actually should be paid off, because that's about $12,000 extra, right? So that means that one should be paid off like around the 25th month, 25th, 26th month, based on what the balance is left over. All right, so that'll be even quicker. All right, so this was something that was shared as far as when you're doing a budget. Some of the things that you keep in mind, for some of the things that they look at average for percentages, like food and grocery bills. What are some of the average things for utilities, some different housing expenses? Again, housing expenses, if you haven't bought a house yet, consider thinking about this when you buy a house. Know about what you want your house expense to be, where you want it to fall in, all right? Again, these are averages. Not saying that you want to be close to that. Realize if you have somewhere that's higher, that means somewhere here it's gonna have to be lower, right? So this is other options. This is another percentage recommendation here for like tithe and charitable contributions, savings, rent, mortgage, utility. So these are about based on your income. This is where your percentages want to be about when you're doing your budget, right? So going back to I'm a little over, but I just want to show you one more thing. If I can get to this. There we go. So going back to David and Shannon, and they started with $200. Their first baby, again, they saved $1,000. They had $500 from a garage sale. They had a residual income, and they had like extra $32 that's from their budget. It was some extra stuff that they was a little less on. So they was able to get their $1,000, and they started that snowball. That snowball, if they start this in December 1, they'll pay this off based off for the calculation I showed you by September 26th, right? So September 2026, so 2 years, 9 months, they'll pay off $45,000. Again, they had that extra income, those extra paychecks that's not in that calculation. So that's gonna bring that down sooner, right? Now, what if they had like a gazelle-like attitude? So gazelle-like attitude, I think in the book they talk about gazelle-like attitude, right? Basically living like no one else today, right? So and then later on you can live like no one else, right? So Proverbs 6:4-5 states, "Give your eyes no sleep, your eyelids no slumber. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hands of the hunter, like a bird from the hand of the flower. So the ideal behind gazelle-like intensity is that you must run away from debt so hard that it's like you're acting like you're running for your life. All right? And that was it.
Can
Is
I
that-
say something?
Sure, absolutely.
In that, just an idea. I've always been a person that, in my mind, I like to save money. I don't know, since I was 5, right? This is my thing. So when we started teaching and learning, studying to teach, right? What I notice is this. For example, I do my own hair. I have a lot of gray hair, right? And to me, to go to, like a normal person that doesn't know, you go to the beauty salon and you spend, just as an example, $60 or $70 to do this. So when you are in this, well, yes, when you don't wash and you don't blow dry, right? So when we're talking about the gazelle attitude, and I think this should be something when you do something intentionally. You know, this word has been coming to me a lot this year for a bunch of other stuff, doing things intentionally, not just doing because you're doing. Because for many, many years, I was like, I don't spend money. I don't go to the store to buy new things with my children. I always bought clothes that are secondhand. And so, but then what I was doing with the money that I was saving, right? So just as an example, when you do this, what Dan said, and your budget that is $100 to buy clothes for your children, just as an example, that would cost you to go to a regular store. If you go to a used store and then instead of spending 50, get this other 50 and put towards your debt. If you're home doing certain things that, cooking or doing other things that we talked about last class, intentionally get the money that you're saving for not to do that you would have done if you didn't think about it, and put towards your debt. So this is one of the other things that I call to doing the gazelle attitude.
I just want to quickly mention that when he talks about a spending plan,
Thank you.
when Dan talks about a spending plan, it's because we teach you in this class to spend your money, make a plan to spend your money before you get it.
Yeah.
So your spending plan for December, you should be working on it now before you get that paycheck. So you know where that money is going to go when you get it. That's the one thing. The second thing he talks about is the actual, the budgeted, the actual, and the variance. Have those 3 sections in your spending plan. I budget for $40 to pay my water bill. My husband doesn't sweep, he pressure washes everything. So he decides he's gonna pressure wash. So my $40 bill goes up to $80. So my budgeted was $40, my actual is $80. Now we gotta take $40 from food or somewhere else to make my budget stay in balance. So we're gonna eat some spaghetti and meat sauce with no meat. So we just gotta be careful of that. Have those 3 categories in your budget. The actual, what you budgeted for, what you're actually spending, and what the difference is.
So in January, if she knows it's gonna continue, that water bill is not gonna stay $40. She's gonna make an adjustment. That means somewhere else is gonna be an adjustment.
So we can't go out to eat. Yes.
Man.
I think we're out of time.
Yeah, just close out.
So anybody wanna close us out in prayer?
Lord, we give you thanks and praise for another opportunity to learn about your biblical finance plan for us and how we should govern ourselves accordingly. Thank you for our teachers. Thank you for them pouring into us. Now, Lord, help us to apply the wisdom that has been shared with us to our own finances so we can show that we're studying to be improved. Father, bless us today and go with us, protect us, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.